Hi, everyone. My name is Angela, and welcome to Mindset Matters. Today, I have a very, very special guest next to me. Well, not next to me, but like virtually, I guess, near me.
Yeah.
um, so, would you like to introduce yourself, your name, and just like any general introduction?
So I'm Emma Treba. I'm originally from Houston, Texas, but I live in Seattle, Washington now. Um, and I just graduated from high school. So, yep.
So, Emma, would you like to just tell us like your story and kind of like what kind of motivated you to participate in my project?
Yeah. So, I have always struggled as I've moved because I've lived in 4 different states within the U.S. I've always struggled with finding somewhere that I belong. In the sense of I was an athlete and like really good at academics, so I was always too smart for like the sport I was in, which is cheer. So I didn't really feel like I belonged there. And then I was always too fun and sporty for most of my athletic friend or my academic friends, and so I never really found a place where I fit in, regardless of which state I was in.
Mhm.
Obviously, I always found friends and I always found my people, but it was just harder. And then I started going to nerd camps in the summer. I like to call them nerd camps, anyways. That's where I finally figured out that like these are my people, and I was built for college and not for high school. And so when you reached out to me and said, "Hey, I'm doing this project about helping kids with their mindset and just like helping them know that there's people out there like them, not just like within whatever country they're in, but all over the world." I thought it was a project I really wanted to be a part of because it's something that I would have wanted going through high school. Um, and I feel like moving around a lot and meeting a lot of people, um, there might be something that I can help someone else with. And yeah.
Okay, so my first question is like, how do you stay motivated when you have like these kind of struggles?
For me, I definitely rely on my friends a lot. So, um, my friends are on every continent you can think of in pretty much every country and state. So, some of my best friends, including one, my friend Laura, who lives in Connecticut, I FaceTime her at least once a day to keep me sane. I have really weird dreams, so I will just literally tell her my dreams. I
Uh-huh.
had one about Joe Jonas yesterday that was really weird. So like we just talked about that yesterday and I rant to her about the stupidest things. I also definitely try to use sports, or at least I got injured this past year, but even now as I'm like my knee is healing and stuff, I definitely use sports as an outlet to kind of get out any aggression or just frustration with how my life is going. I feel like it's a really good way to put that energy to use in a healthy way.
Mhm.
And then when I was injured, one way that I found was art. So I've never really had a chance to kind of explore art since middle school. And then since I was injured and I couldn't do anything that physically worked off that exertion, I started painting and taking photographs to kind of serve as a daily journal of what I was feeling. So each of my hand art or body art pieces that I do kind of displays what I'm feeling for that day. So those are just a couple of the ways that I stay motivated, or at least cope with those kinds of situations. In terms of motivation, I feel like it's just reminding myself that it's not about, and this has been hard for me, but it's not just about simple gratification in the moment, but my long term goals and where I want to see myself and working toward those instead of just saying, oh, I want to do this. And it seems like the end of the world now, like going to a party or like going to hang out with friends or something, even though I should probably like study or just like work a little harder to make sure that I can get to where I want to go later.
Yeah, like, dude, your art is like so good. Like, it's
Thanks.
just so talented. Yeah. So how do you juggle between like school and extracurriculars? Because I know you do like a lot of extracurriculars.
Yeah, so definitely family time was sacrificed a lot. So my family sacrificed a lot for me to be able to do what I did. So for those of you who don't know, I was on cheer, which is a full-time job. It's a like year-round sport, including the summers. And I did DECA, which is like a business um, organization that does competitions. And then I've also was in like English and French National Honor Societies. I was editor for the yearbook. I also founded um, a newspaper or a magazine at my high school, um, and stuff like that. And so I really just had to give up a social life. I've never really gotten to be a kid, which is kind of sad, but I gave up the things like going to friends' houses and going to parties and um, just kind of being able to hang out with my friends whenever I wanted to kind of make sure that I was studying and still had time for all of my commitments outside of school. Um, and to be honest, I still really don't know how I did it. I did, which is kind of a miracle. Um, but I think it just took a lot of discipline and scheduling, to be honest. And I don't know, it was very stressful during the time, but I wouldn't really have traded it for anything else because I came into the high school that I graduated from junior year, so I was basically like a freshman in a junior's body, and I kind of had to make up for lost time. But I'm really glad I did because I've met so many more people than I would have otherwise.
Yeah.
So,
Like how have you, because like with all the quarantine and COVID and everything, how have you felt like has COVID kind of taken anything away from you? Like what have you learned from like just being at home for a long time? And I'm pretty sure like you probably spend a lot of time with your family now.
yeah. So, it definitely sucks, like, as a senior not being able to have prom, because I've never really been to a school dance before, and I was gonna go to 2 proms. So that was kind of sad. And then not being able to, like, have a real graduation where I could be with my friends and my family. Um, or even, like, for instance, my friend Preston, he plays baseball, so just, like, even just going to see him play and stuff before I go off to college was sad, but at the same time, I feel like we got a lot more out of it in the sense of I got my family time. I have a 3-year-old brother and an 11-year-old sister who I'm going to be leaving soon, so it's been really nice to kind of reconnect with them and rebuild my family a little bit since I've kind of been absent for the past 4 years, just in like per creating my trajectory to get into college. Um, and so that's been really nice. I also feel like it's been good reflection time to really consider my priorities and what's important to me. It's also been a lot for like relaxing and finally sleeping. Like I've actually slept, which has been nice and kind of relaxed. Um, to be honest, I don't really think COVID took that much away. Yeah, it took my ability to see like my friends all the time or my ability to um, go to certain traditions. But I feel like, at least for me, football season was kind of the highlight of my senior year, even though I was injured. I feel like because I had at least that and I was able to finish out my cheer season, nothing was taken away too much for me, which I'm very lucky for because, like, unfortunately for all the spring athletes, their season was non-existent. So then didn't really get to have their last hurrah like all the fall and winter sports did. Um, but I don't know. My sister has started cooking, so I've become her taste tester. She is now into sewing little like plushie toys now. So and she's like teaching our neighbors how to do it, which is super cute. So my sister knows like all the neighbors, and I'm just kind of like, "What's up, friends?" So I don't know.
So like what's one thing that you regret and like why?
I definitely regret not taking it easy more.
Mm.
I feel like we get so wrapped up, or at least I definitely did, in the pressure of At least for me, because I always shot for Ivies. I knew that if I didn't quite get there, I'd still get into really good schools, um, and hopefully scholarship money. Because for me, I have to pay for my own college, so that's always kind of been on the forefront of my brain. Um, and so even though I kind of killed myself in the end, like this senior year, I've really gotten burnt out. And I feel like just because you want to get to an Ivy does not mean you have to kill yourself to get there. A lot of people do, and those are the kinds of people that will thrive at those universities. But at the same time, I think there comes a point when you need to realize that there's only a very small fraction of the world population that will get to go to an Ivy.
Right.
And it's not saying that you shouldn't go for it, but allow yourself to be a kid. I feel like this is the first time I've been a kid since middle school. Um, just like, because Washington started to open up a little bit. So, like, there were 4 days in a row, like, 2 weeks ago, when I just got to see my friends, do hikes. There was a surprise birthday party thrown in there, a barbecue, and stuff like that. And it was the first time I'd felt normal in such a long time. Um, and I don't feel like we should have to give up that feeling as much. And I also, this year, there was a friend of mine that died this year, which is kind of dark. But the message is this kid was someone who would always live every day to the fullest. He was someone who made sure that people knew that they mattered. And one of his favorite sayings was that everyone matters. And so if I learned anything from him, I have this thing called a want wall and a done wall. And so on my want wall is to live like Sam, because he was like that daredevil kid that always did the stupidest crap and like didn't really care what people thought of him and stuff. And so I think I regret not living more like him and just kind of letting loose sometimes and not being so focused on studies.
So like I have a question. Like, so you said you were burnt out, right? So when you
Yeah.
like really, really don't want to do it, but then
Mhm.
like let's say you have like the test next day, so you kind of have to do it. Does that make sense? So like
Yeah.
how did you at least like push yourself, at least like during your senior year when you had like senioritis?
My parents definitely kicked my butt a lot. I struggled to, like, at least during COVID, like, it was especially difficult. Almost flunked out of high school, but I didn't, so I was very proud. Um, but I feel like it just comes from a lot of support and just kicking yourself in the butt and realizing, okay, one, you can make this better, like, it's in your control, and, like, teachers genuinely want to help you, so when you are in a rut like that, really reaching out to your teachers and coming up with a plan is super helpful. I found it was really easy because I live 15 minutes away from like one of my best friends' house. It's like a 15-minute walk.
Yeah.
So my friend was in North Carolina for like a month and a half before the end of the school year. And I would just walk to her house, hang out with her mom, and just like do work in their house for long periods of time because my parents can be pretty pushy when it comes to this kind of stuff. So they would always be nagging me and like, Emma, 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 did you do it? Emma, are you done? Emma, Emma, Emma. And it just got so loud and so like,
Mhm.
that I just needed peace and quiet. So I found going somewhere else to kind of do that work and be able to focus and relax worked the best for me. And I was able to kind of get through it.
Mhm.
And I feel like just knowing that, one, it's never too late to get back on the horse or back on the wagon, and you can fix things. Um, for granted, like I had like 3 Fs, 2 Ds, a C, I had 1 A, and then a month later, I ended the semester with all A's.
Ah,
So, or like a month and a half later, I did. It took a lot of work. It wasn't fun and it wasn't easy, but I was still able to do it, and I'm really glad that I did because I really would have hated myself if I hadn't. Because, like, for me, I'm on a full scholarship, so if I hadn't have done that, I wouldn't be able to go to college. So, yeah.
wow. Also, like, it sounds like you were like really strict on yourself, but I feel like now you're, I guess, at least trying to work on being, I guess, more kind to yourself. Do you kind of like, I guess, struggle with like finding a balance between those two? Like, for example, I don't know, I'm just like, think of an example like
Mm.
you're like really tired, you want to sleep, but then like like I guess the old Emma would probably like fight through the fatigue and like just like work, but then like the I guess new Emma would probably like kind of let her rest. So do you find it like hard to find like a balance?
I feel like another thing that quarantine's kind of taught me is balance. So I've really struggled with um, balance, especially this past year. This past year, senior year, I took 5 AP classes and I did a crap ton of extracurriculars on top of that. So I kind of like gave myself a very heavy course load for senior year. Um, I definitely think going into college, the one thing that I'm trying to take away from this, because my parents have also been really hard on me. They've never said like you need to go to Ivies, but I feel like I've always felt the need to be the best, if that makes sense. And I failed many times in high school, which I feel like a lot of people um, can say they've done, but when it comes to the caliber of people that I've met at my nerd camps, like at Yale and Brown and UPenn, a lot of them are straight A students, like they're no faults, and then I'm over here and I've at least got like 4 Bs over the course of my high school career. I have 1 C+, and I'm just kind of like, well, that happened, but I think for instance, for college, my first semester, so the way my college works is you have a minimum of 12 hours to be a full-time student and a maximum of 18. So I'm a business honors student, but I'm also considering going into genetics and bioinformatics as well. And so my parents won't let me take more than 12 hours, which is the minimum, which I think is really nice because the one thing that everyone's told me that they wish that I can have is just to be happy and like find balance because I've always pushed myself so hard. And so I think being able to take the minimum number of classes and to kind of transition into college will give me the freedom that I'm looking for to kind of be like, okay, um, I have classes, like I get to see people, I get to kind of enjoy that, and I finally get to like live a little, which is nice, especially in Texas because football is just great. And I'm really hoping we have football, and or at least like I can at least go to campus because like I want to go to college, I really do. Um, but I think just being kinder to myself and realizing that I can still have a life and still get a lot of crap done. Me and my friend Laura were talking about this the other day, and we were like, we've been so bored, but we find that since we've had a break for so long, that now when we do go to work, we're that much more efficient than we were before, which I think is something that's super interesting. But it totally makes sense because when your body's revitalized and rejuvenized and you've had rest, you're going to be that much more effective in whatever you put your mind to. Um, so I definitely think that you should, when you're really tired, your body is telling you you're overdoing it. And there are going to be some nights where you have to fight through it, like for finals or whatever. But on the majority of days, just know that it's okay to sleep. Like, it's okay to take care of yourself and not just grind until you're dead, kind of a thing.
Yeah, so what do you hope to accomplish in the future?
Um, I hope to one day own my own company. No clue what kind. But that'd be pretty sweet. I also hope to um do something with genetics. Like I've been thinking about it a lot recently. It was actually YYGS that kind of got me back into science because I've never really considered myself a sciencey person before. Um, and just help find cures for diseases genetically with like genetic modification and stuff to just kind of help people. Because at the end of the day, I just want to make a difference and I want to help people, even if it's just one person, make their life better. Um, and I want to have a family and I want to get married and all that fun stuff. Um, but yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah, so my last question is what's one piece of advice that you have for maybe underclassmen or anyone that's like currently like in a slump and burnt out?
For underclassmen especially, I would start thinking about where you want to go. I know it's really scary, and I know that it's not the most fun thing to think about. I definitely wasn't really thinking until like the summer before junior year. But if you know where you want to go, you can start planning how to get there earlier so you don't stress yourself out and you can know what you need to do to get there and really make sure that like let's say you do decide to go Ivy League, you really understand what it takes to get there and the sacrifices you'll have to make. Um, because you're not going to have the same experience as someone that wants to go to state school or even like a lower tier Ivy. You're still going to have to work hard, but it's a completely different ball game. Um, I would also say just make sure to enjoy yourself. Don't overwork yourself. Make sure that you can breathe and have fun with friends and just be a kid for a little bit. I know it may seem like you have to be super mature and all of this stuff, but know that you can still like let loose sometimes and be yourself. Um, and I would say just if we've learned anything from this time during COVID, it's that life can change with the shake of a hand or the exchange of a hug. Which is okay. I never thought that like hearing mask ads would be something normal. So knowing that life is never guaranteed and that we should just live every day like it's our last is something that I really um, feel like is important because um, in life there will be so many things that we regret. But if we start trying to live each day like it's our last, then we know that we've lived every day like we wanted to, and it's not like if it was our last day, we wouldn't be like, oh, like that was like I didn't just like was a couch potato, like, and I wouldn't want that to be my last day. I'd want to spend it with the people I love and doing really crazy weird things that I never thought I would do. So I don't know. I'd say study hard, but still have fun and don't let anyone tell you what you can and cannot do, because you can do anything if you put your mind to it.
Yeah. Yeah, like I totally agree with that. And also like I think it's important for people to because everyone's like always so stressed and like they're super hard on themselves. But I think that it's like really, really important to at least like even like 30 minutes a day, just like go outside for a walk and just like, just kind of like, separate yourself from like all the stress you have. And I think that's like really important as well. Yeah. Okay, so thank you so much, Emma. Thank you for your like really insightful and honest comments and like thoughts that you had. I really hope that our interview like at least helped at least one person out there that is currently like going through some difficult times. Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you.
you're welcome.